Good day, everyone. Today we'll be discussing the third part of our discussion in chapter 3, which is about vital statistical rates and ratios. Okay, so when we talk about public health, okay, so there are a variety of indicators that are used to measure, okay, by public health professionals to track, okay, the status of the healthcare system in a particular area or particular community. Okay, so these indicators would include the frequency of births, deaths, number of people who contracted the disease, and other related events or health related events. Okay, so many levels of health indicators are frequently used as a foundation of this hypothesis testing, formulating policies, as well as planning and putting an intervention and strategies into actions, and evaluate if those programs and if initiatives are effective or not. Okay. So in this discussion, we will be dealing with the different vital statistical rates. What is vital statistics anyways? So when we talk about vital statistics, it is the aspect or part of biostatistics which measures, okay, um, and compare data pertaining to human life. So this data includes the number of births, okay, diseases, deaths, and other health-related concerns or matters that we have. Okay, so without vital statistics, we won't be able to understand what's going on in the population. Okay. So in order for us to understand a certain population, we should have a reference or a base population uh, so that we can have a meaningful interpretation of the data. Now, it is a common practice to convert counts into proportions, percentage, and even rates. Okay. With comparing this amount of occurrence occurring into two or more groups, we would be able to understand um, the information, or we would be able to formulate new ideas and information based on the different vital statistical rates. So vital statistical rates includes ratios and proportions, as I mentioned, changes and percent reductions, different rates such as fertility, mortality, morbidity, and we have also other related measures of disease frequency. So to start with, we'll have the ratio and proportions. Okay, so as far as I know, you're aware what is a ratio and a proportion. So in vital statistics, when we talk about ratio, it's the least complicated form of relative measure, okay? Because we compare two objects or two groups on a certain quantity or certain characteristics, okay? So in ratio, the quantitative relationship between two amounts showing the number of times one value contains or is contained within the other. So we have a formula here for ratio. Ratio is equal to the number of cases in event A in a certain period of time over the number of cases in event B or group B in a certain or the same period of time. Okay? So remember, when we compare things, groups, objects, or organisms, okay, both should have the same unit of measurement. Okay? So, and as well as the same time frame. We cannot compare two or more groups with different characteristics. Okay? They should have the same unit of measurement. Like example, if you're comparing the performance of students in mathematics, then the unit of measurement is their grade in math. It's not you're gonna compare quiz number one first from student A, then quiz number 2 from student B, it's not gonna be that comparison. Again, they should have the same characteristic or unit of measurement. Okay, some examples are the following. According to the report, 790,000 males and 730,000 females were born in the Philippines in 2020. So what is the ratio of male and female born in the Philippines for the year 2020? Okay, so if the manner of writing the ratio is not given, let's say kung sino yung mauuna or sino yung magiging numerator or denominator, we assume that the first data or first group will be the numerator and the second group will be the denominator. Okay? Otherwise, nakalagay po sa statement na ang ratio is male to female or female to male, then yun po ang susundin natin. Pero kung wala pong nakalagay, we assume that the first group that was mentioned in the problem is the numerator and the second group will become the denominator. Okay, so the formula will be the number of male births in the Philippines in 2020 over the number of female births in the Philippines in 2020. Okay, so same characteristics, births in the Philippines and same time frame, which is 2020. So we can compare male and female. Okay, so by substitution, we have 790,000 is to 730,000. Okay, so we try to make it lowest term. So these two are both divisible by 10,000. Okay, so that's 79 over 73 or 79 is to 33. Okay, so the result shows in a box the sex birth ratio that in every 79 males born in the Philippines, there are 73 female born in 2020. Okay, so that's how you interpret it when it comes to ratio. Another example, it's an hypothetical, okay? So it means it's not a true to life situation, but it's a good example, no? If the number of reported male HIV positive cases in Metro Manila for the past 6 months was 20, while the number of reported female HIV positive cases was 40, what is the ratio of female to male cases? Okay? So kung kanina hindi po naka-mention kung ano yung magiging pattern ng ratio natin, in this second example, it is explicitly saying that it's female to male cases. Okay? So for our ratio, it's gonna be the number of HIV positive females in Metro Manila for the past 6 months, and the number of HIV positive males in Metro Manila in 6 months. So female has 40 positive cases is to 20 male positive cases. So to simplify, that's 2 is to 1. So the interpretation now goes, in Metro Manila, over the past 6 months, there were 2 reported HIV positive female to 1 reported HIV positive man. Okay? Or men. In this illustration, the common unit of measurement is the number of positive HIV case. Okay? And the common time period is the previous 6 months. Okay? So you compare male and female. The characteristic is how many male and female have HIV case in Metro Manila for the past 6 months. Okay? Next one is proportion. Okay? Proportions are created by dividing a fraction of the population by the total population. Okay? A definition for the proportion of cases experiences in a particular event is capital P, no? Is equal to S over Q. Okay? So S is the number of cases in a particular event. Then Q is the total population. Okay? So, in short, ilang part ng population yung affected. Okay? So, that's what is proportion all about. Now, proportion can be converted into percentage by multiplying it to 100%. Okay? So, let's have this example. According to the National Museum of the Philippines, there are currently about 1,079 species of gymnosperm. Okay? The Philippines is home to over 44 different species of gymnosperm. So what is the proportion of the number of gymnosperms in the Philippines over the total number of gymnosperm in the world? Okay, so that's 44 over 1,079. So that's around roughly 0.2452. Okay, so since we multiply it by 100, that became into percentage, wherein 24.52% of the total gymnosperm in the world are found in the Philippines. Okay? So nakamultiply ito ng 100, kaya po 24.52 siya. Okay? Ganyan po siya. Okay? So, ayan po. So, if it's not multiplied by 100, it's proportion. If it's multiplied by 100, we call it percent already or percentage. Okay? So, another example. No? According to the National Health Survey of 2010, out of the 12,241,730 households surveyed in the entire Philippines, 9,405, or sorry, rather, 9,405,342 of them were found to have sanitary toilets. So what is the proportion of households having sanitary toilets in the Philippines versus the total number of households surveyed for 2010? Okay? So the proportion will go like this. Number of household with sanitary toilets, Philippines 2010, divided by or over the total number of households surveyed in the Philippines 2010. Okay, so by substitution, that's 9,405,342 divided by 12,241,730. So the proportion is 0.77. So to get the percentage, that's 0.77 times 100%. That is equal to 77%. So therefore, 77% of the total number of households surveyed has sanitary toilets. Okay. Now, another one is proportions and percentage reduction. Okay. So, the proportion of reduction or capital PR after applying a treatment or certain treatment is given by capital P is equal to O minus R divided by O. O is the original amount and R is the reduced amount. In short, before and after. Okay? So we use proportion of reduction or percent reduction if there is a treatment involved. Okay? We kind of check what changes happen after the treatment was applied. So basically, chine-check din natin yung effectiveness ng treatment based kung gaano karami yung na-reduce or ano yung nag-improve. Okay? Now, to know the percent of reduction or small PR, so that's capital PR times 100. Okay? So, kunin muna natin yung proportion of reduction, then yung percent of reduction. Okay. Example, a common herb found in many diet tablets is called Caralluma frimbiata. It is believed to function by raising serotonin levels a neurotransmitter that directly influences the appetite. Assume that 6 people desire to lose weight if they incorporate Caralluma frimbiata into their diet for 2 months. The following table on the right side displays the difference in weight between before and after the diet. So we have 6 patients who wants to lose weight. So we have patient A. Before the treatment, again, the treatment is the Caralluma frimbriata. No? Before taking the treatment, the weight of patient A is 121.3 in pounds. Patient B, 127 pounds. Patient C, 120.2 pounds. Patient D, 159.2 pounds. Patient E, 151.2 pounds. And patient F, 149.7 pounds. So after 2 months taking the Caralluma frimbiata, their weight are the following. Patient A, 105.2. Patient B, 115.3. Patient C, 110.6. Patient D, 146.6. Patient E, 143.3. And patient F, 135.1 pounds. Okay? So clearly, the treatment would reduce their weight because from 121, it became 105 for patient 8. And others, no, bumaba yung mga weight nila. But the question is, who among these patients lost weight in a greater extent? Sino yung pumayat, in short, after the treatment? So we will be using percent reduction and proportion reduction to identify. So using the formula, no, old value minus the new value divided by the old value. So the old value here is the before and the new value is the after. Okay. For patient A, we have 121.3 minus 105.2 divided by 121.3. Using your calculator, the proportion reduction is 0.1327. Getting the percent, multiplying it by 100, that's around 13.27%. Okay? So for patient B, that's 127 minus 115.3 divided by 127. We would get a quotient of 0.0921 for proportion. Percent is 9.21%. Okay? Patient C, 120.2 minus 110.6 divided by 120.2. We would get 0.0798. Then for the percent, that's roughly 7.98%. Patient D, after computing using the proportion reduction, no, 159.2 minus 146.6 divided by 159.2, you would get 0.0791. That's equivalent to 7.91%. Patient E, 151.2 minus 143.3 divided by 151.2, you would get 0.0522. That's 5.22% reduction. Now, lastly, we have 149.7 minus 135.1 divided by 149.7. We would get 0.0975 for proportion reduction. Converting it to percentage reduction by multiplying it to 100, you would get 9.75%. Okay? So based on our computation, patient A, okay, reduced 13.27% from his 121.3. And makikita po natin based sa ating computation, si patient A yung may pinakamalaking in-improve or may pinakamaraming nabawas na timbang, 13.27%. And the least or yung may pinakamababa is patient E, which is 5.22%. Okay? So that's how percent reduction and proportion reduction works. We also have another example here, no? On the module which was given to you, no? Next one is the rate of change. Okay, so if proportion reduction or percent reduction is about treatment, now when we talk about rate of change, it's we're talking about time intervals. Okay, ano yung changes on a given time interval? Diba? So the amount of change occurring in a time interval is computed by L minus I divided by I times 100. Okay? So since rate yan, so it should be in percentage form. Usually, ang rate of change, other books referred to it as growth rate. Okay? Ano yung tinaas or ano yung ibinaba on that particular interval. Okay? So going back, the formula again is L minus I over I times 100, where L is what we call the new value and I is the old value. Okay? So kung kay proportion old value minus new value, dito naman po is new value minus old value. So there is a tendency that you would get negative answers, lalo na kung mas mataas ang old value natin. Okay? So example, in every 5 years, PSA conducts a population census, and the table or graph below shows the Philippine population from 1997 to 2022. Okay, so the population are in millions. So in 1997 daw, the population is around 76.8 million. In 2002, that's 87.88 million. In 2007, that's 90.75 million. After 5 years, 2012, we have 95.63. In 2017, that's 100.81 million. In 2020, that's 112.75 million. Now, the question is, what would be our population in 2027? Okay, so growth rate can be used to predict the population in a specific interval or timeline. Okay, so the following are asked: determine the growth rate of each interval using the formula L minus I over I times 100. The annual growth rate from 2007 to 2012, and predict the production population by 2027. Okay, so 2027 to ito. So to start with, the first question is to get the growth rate of each interval. Okay, so for 1997, since wala tayong previous record, wala tayong growth rate na makukuha dyan. Okay, but for the succeeding intervals from 1997 to 2005, again, the new value minus the old divided by the old value. So we have 87.88 minus 76.8 divided by 76.8. We would get around 0.1442. So multiply it by 100 since rate ang pinag-uusapan natin, that's 14.42%. So nung 2000, from 1997 to 2002, nag-increase yung population natin ng 14.42%. Okay? Now, for 2002 to 2007, 90.75 minus 87.88 divided by 87.88 is equal to 0.0326 times 100, 3.26. So nadagdagan yung population natin from 2002 to 2007 ng 3.26. So computing for 2007 to 2012 using the formula for rate of change or growth rate, 95.63 minus 90.75 divided by 90.75, that's equal to 0.0537 times 100. Nag-increase tayo ng 5.37. So kapag negative value ang nakukuha natin, it means nagde-decrease. Okay? Kapag positive, it means nag-increase. Okay? Now, for 2012 to 2017, 100.81 minus 95.63 divided by 95.63, we have 0.0541 times 100. That's 5.41%. For 2017 to 2022, that's 112.75 minus 100.81 divided by 100.81, we would get 0.1184, or that's roughly around 11.84%. So these are the growth rate on each of the intervals. So kung papansin niyo, positive lahat yan, it means nag-i-increase yung population natin every 5 years. Okay? Now, we have another question, the annual growth rate from 2007 to 2012. Now, to have the annual growth rate, we just need to divide the growth rate of that interval by the number of years. So, check po natin. 2017 to 2022, that's 11.84. So, 11.84% divided by 5 years, kasi 5 taon ang pinag-uusapan natin from 2007 to 2012, that's roughly 2.368% per year. So every year, nag-i-increase tayo ng 2.368 from 2007 to 2012. Okay? Now, next one is we predict the population by 2027. No? That's first is we add all of the available data on the growth rate. So i-add natin lahat yan. We have 14.42, 3.26 plus 5.37 plus 5.41 plus 11.86. So that's equal to or divided by 5 kasi 5 yung available data natin. So we would get 40.3 divided by 5, that's around 8.6%. Okay? So on average, nag-increase ang population natin from 1997 to 2022 ng 8.06%. So ibalik lang natin siya into decimal. We have 0.0806 divided by 100. So that's 0.0806. Okay? So, multiply the existing population by 1 plus 0.0806. Okay? So the average is increased by 1 and then we multiply it to the previous population. Okay? So kumbaga mag-a-add kasi tayo ng 0.08 6 sa population. So that's yung current na 112.75 plus yung makukuha natin na 0 doon sa 0.086. So kaya po dapat 1 for the current population then plus yung 0.086 na madadagdag. Okay? So that's why 112.78 times 1.0806, that is equivalent to 121.84 million. So that is the projected population in 2027. Okay? So ganun po siya. So we always add 1 to the average. Okay? So next one is rates. Okay? So another way of expressing proportion multiplied by some other number than 100, like basta multiple of 100 siya. 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Ang tawag natin yun is rates. Okay? So there are three components when we talk about rates. The first one is the number of cases experiencing a particular event. Okay? Ilan yung nakaka-experience? Divided by the total population na at risk. Gaano karami yung posibleng magkasakit in total. Then, specific time frame. So again, sabi ko nga po kanina is when we compare two or more things, they should have the same characteristic and as well as time period. Okay? Now, there are two classification of rates. We have the crude rates. It means that your computation is based on the entire population. Okay? Regardless of age, regardless of gender, ethnicity, basta yung buong population ang pinag-uusapan natin, crude rate po ang tawag natin doon. Okay? Gaya na lang po nung example, the Philippines has reported a total of 768,504 deaths in 2021. Divided by the population in the 1st of July of 2021, which is 110,198,654 multiplied by 1,000. Okay? So again, other than 100, magiging base factor natin. Okay? So, kung mapapansin nyo po, dinivide po siya sa entire population. Now, kapag specific naman po, we're taking into consideration kung anong age, anong group, anong ethnicity, yung ating pinag-uusapan. Okay? Specific po yon. Meron kang certain category. Okay? Nakakategorize sila. Okay? Example of this is the number of leukemia-related fatalities or yung mga namamatay among age 0 to 14 in 2021 multiplied by the overall number of children age 0 to 14 in the same period or same year multiplied by 1,000. So kung papansinin nyo po, unlike the entire population, we're not talking about kung ano yung age and gender. In specific, nakaspecify anong age bracket ang pinag-uusapan natin. So in this case, the age bracket is between 0 to 14 years old. Okay? So specific po yon. Now under rates, we have three common rates that we use. Okay? So the first one is the fertility rate. Okay? The fertility rate is calculated by means of the average number of child born per year. Okay? Per woman or per individual. Okay, this is the most and basic use. Okay? So under fertility, we can apply the crude and specific. No? We have the crude birth rate or crude fertility rate. Okay? So this is the ratio of the total number of registered live births. Okay, yung pinanganak ng buhay among residents in an area during a calendar year to the total mid-year estimated population of the area. Okay? Also multiplied by 1,000, the number of births and deaths are supplied by Vital Statistical Registration System. We have the Philippine Statistics Office. Kung gusto nating kunin, yaan or yung hospital or yung local civil registrar office. Okay? For the CBR, the formula is the number of live births within the given period of time. Okay? So ilan yung ipinanganak ng buhay. So hindi kasama yung mga patay na bago siya ipinanganak. Okay? So divided by the population size at the middle of that period. Okay? So ang tinitingnan natin population is mid-year population. So it means January to June, then July to August. Times 1,000. Or kung ang indicated, kung whatever is indicated. Kung wala naman pong indicated, by default, our base factor is 1,000. Okay? Example, the major population in the province of Pampanga for the year 2020 was 2,437,709, while that of Manila City has 5,500,000. If the number of registered live births in Pampanga is 48,451, and that of Manila was 27,375 for the year 2020, which city or which among the two, the city or the province, has a higher crude birth rate? Okay, so again, the formula is the number of live birth divided by the mid-year population. Okay, so for Pampanga, we have 48,451 divided by 2,437,709 times 1,000. That's approximately 19.88. So that's equivalent or estimated 20. Okay? Now for Manila naman po, we have 27,375 divided by 5,500,000 times 1,000. We have 4.98 or roughly 5 individuals. So ano po ang ibig sabihin ng mga yan? Pampanga recorded 20 live births for every 1,000 individuals for 2020. So sa kada 1,000 tao, no, whether babae, lalaki, matanda, or bata, kasi nga crude yan, hindi natin siya na-check kung ano yung specific information, no, basta sa kada 1,000 na tao sa Pampanga, merong 20 na batang ipinapanganak ng buhay. While in Manila, there are recorded 5 live births for every 1,000 person. Sa kada 1,000 na residente ng Maynila, merong 5 ipinapanganak ng buhay. Okay? This goes that Pampanga also has a higher CBR than Manila does. Kasi 20 versus 5, 20 is greater than 5. So therefore, Pampanga has a higher CBR. Okay? Next one, we have what we call the general fertility rate or GFR. Okay, so this is one of the specific rates, GFR or general fertility rate. So it's more specific than CBR. Okay, so unlike CBR, we use the entire population. But in GFR or general fertility rate, ang pinag-uusapan po natin dito is yung mga babaeng may kakayahang pang manganak or magbuntis. Okay? So this includes women whose age is 15 to 44 or sometime 49 years old, no? GFR excludes men, children, and elderly women that are not capable to bear children. Yung hindi na pwedeng manganak. Okay? So, basta yung edad mo is 15 to 44 or 49, kasama ka dito. Okay? Hindi natin kino-consider kung sarado na yung babae or naka-ligate na siya. Hindi po. Basta yung age niya is 15 to 44 or 49, GFR po iyon or general fertility rate. Now, for the formula, we have the number of live births in an area over, again, the mid-year female population whose age is 15 to 44 or 49, multiply by 1,000. Okay? So, yan po siya. Okay? So, an example here is the mid-year population of a certain barangay is distributed as follows. Okay? Hindi lang po nakalagay dyan, but there are 11 live births. No? So, take note nyo po yan. So the table shows the breakdown of the population, how many males and females on each of the age bracket, as well as the total population of male, female, in the entire barangay. Okay? So we're asked to get the GFR of 15 to 44. So ibig sabihin, pag GFR, hindi kasama yung mga lalaki, as well as yung mga babae na ang edad ay 14 pababa, And since 44 ang nakalagay dito, yung edad ng mga babae na 45 pataas, hindi rin sila counted. So ano lang po ang kasama natin sa ating population? Itong part na ito, from 15 to 44. Okay? So you add them up, that would sum up to 454. Okay? 160 plus 151 plus 45 plus 34 plus 34 plus 30. Okay, so 154. So 11 divided by 454 times 1,000, you would get 0.02 times 1,000, that's 20. So it means that for every 1,000 female in that barangay, merong 20 na babies na ipinapanganak ng buhay. Okay? Kung ko-consider naman natin yung 49, so from itong i-add na po natin hanggang doon sa 49, we already have 145 plus 25, that's 179. So 11 divided by 179 times 1,000, that's still roughly 20 live births per 1,000 female. Okay? So again, ang interpretation is sa kada 1,000 babae na pwede pang manganak na ang edad ay 15 to 44 o kaya 15 to 49, merong 20 na batang ipinapanganak ng buhay in that particular barangay. Okay? So, yan po sila. Next one, we also have the age-specific fertility rate. So, this is more specific than CBR and GFR. Okay? Kasi we're talking about specific age group per 1,000 women. Okay, babae pa rin ang pinag-uusapan natin. Usually, ang age interval natin is 5-year gap. Okay? So, the number of registered live births in a year for that particular age group and the mid-year population on that particular age group times 1,000. Okay? So, ayan po. So, babae pa rin ang pinag-uusapan natin, no? For example, so gamitin ulit natin yung data kanina. The number of live births is still 11. Then we are looking for ASFR, age-specific fertility rate for 25 to 29. So ito magiging divisor natin nun. Okay, kasi yan lang po. So 11 divided by 45 times 1,000, we have 240. Okay? So sa kada 1,000 babae sa barangay na yon, na ang edad ay 25 to 29 years old, merong possibility na 240 live birth ang or batang ipinanganak ng buhay. Okay? Kung 20 to 39 naman, ang consideration natin ay itong bracket na to. 151, 45, 34, and 34. So that's 264. So 11 divided by 264, we have 0.04 times 1,000. That is equal to 40. So this means that for every 1,000 female whose age is 20 to 39, there are 40 live births occurred, or there is a possibility that there are 40 live births or 40 na ipapanganak ng buhay. Okay? So naka-specify kung anong age bracket ang pinag-uusapan natin kapag age specific. Okay? So again, crude birth rate, CBR, we're talking about the entire population, regardless if it's male or female, regardless if it's a child, an adult, or an elderly. Kapag naman po GFR, general fertility rate, we're only talking about females who has capability to bear child. Usually those are between 15 to 44 to 49. Okay? Now, kapag age specific naman po, we're talking about the specific age bracket as your population. Okay? Next one is mortality rate. Now, for mortality rate, this is a standard way to compare number of deaths occurring in different population, deaths due to different diseases in that population, or deaths in a certain period of time. So pag sinasabi nating mortality, we're talking about ilan yung namamatay, ilan yung sumakabilang buhay na. Okay? Now, we have a lot when we talk about mortality rate. So there are actually 6 or 7 if I'm not mistaken, no? So the first one is crude. Okay, again, dahil crude yan, we're talking about the number of deaths versus the mid-year population. Okay? Regardless kung anong ikinamatay niya, ilang taon siya nung namatay, basta yung mga namatay divided by the mid-year population times 1,000. That's crude death rate. Okay? Now, we also have what we call the Swarops Index or SI. Sa Swarops Index naman po, tinitignan natin dito kung ilan yung mga namatay. Sa mga namatay na, ilan doon yung 50 and above. Okay? Again, sa Swarops Index, tinitingnan natin doon sa mga namatay na, ilan yung 50 and above. Okay? This is a sensitive indicator because it would give us an indication kung okay ba yung healthcare system natin sa mga matatanda or hindi. Okay? The higher the Swarops Index, lalo na sa isang less developed country or third world country gaya natin, it means that we have a poor healthcare standards when it comes to our elderly, yung mga 50 and above. Okay? So, kaya dapat is it can be a basis to formulate policy, no? For the healthcare system ng mga nakakatanda natin. Okay? So, Swarops Index is a basis for policy formulation, intervention, and programs. Okay? So again, SI or Swarops Index is the number of deaths whose age is 50 divided by the total number of deaths. Okay? Then we also have case fatality. Okay? So case fatality rate or CFR measures how many of the persons infected by disease actually died from it. Okay? The higher CFR indicates the disease is fatal or deadly. Okay? So sa case fatality, ang tinitingnan natin doon is sa mga nagkasakit, let's say COVID-19, okay? Ilan doon yung mga namatay ng dahil sa COVID-19? Okay? Again, sabi nga dyan, the higher case fatality that you have, it means deadly yung sakit. Pero the less case fatality rate you have, it means na hindi siya nakakamatay. Okay? Pero kailangan pa rin nating mag-ingat. Okay? So again, case fatality rate means deaths from that specific disease divided by the number of cases of the same disease. Okay? Yung denominator natin, buhay pa tong mga to, no? Nagkasakit sila. Let's say COVID, nagka-COVID sila. Sa mga nagka-COVID, ilan yung namatay? So that's CFR. Okay? Now we have another important indicator, no? Kung meron tayong sa mga matatanda, meron din naman tayo sa mga babies. We have the infant mortality rate or IMR. Okay? So sa infant mortality rate naman or IMR, it gives us the idea that among those live births, okay? Yung mga pinanganak ng buhay, ilan sa mga yon yung namatay before sila mag 1 year old. Okay? So it means death under 1 year of age divided by number of live births. Okay? So kung meron kang 11 live births, okay? Then, dalawa doon yung unfortunately namatay before sila mag 1 year old. So, counted sila sa IMR. So that's 2 divided by 11 times 1,000. Okay? So the higher IMR that you have, it means that you have either poor maternal and child healthcare services, malnutrition, poor environmental sanitation, or deficient health service delivery. Okay? So again, kapag mataas yung mga yan, it means it's not good. Okay? Ito yung mga numbers na ayaw nating tumaas. Yung mga mortality. Okay? Especially the SI, the case fatality, as well as the IMR or infant mortality rate. Okay? So we also have age-specific mortality rate. No? So, dito naman, from the name itself, age group ang pinag-uusapan natin, divided by the mid-year population or of that particular group. Okay? So, I repeat, age-specific mortality rate means the number of death in a specific age group divided by the mid-year population of that specific age group. So kung tinitingnan natin is 10 to 15, then yung mid-year population na basis natin is yung population ng ages between 10 to 15. Okay? So, ganun po siya. Para lang siyang ding for age-specific fertility rate, no? But this time, mortality. So, doon sa age group na yon, ilan na yung namatay? Okay? So, yun yung tinitingnan natin sa ASMR. Now, kapag case-specific mortality rate naman po, which is entirely different from case fatality, no? Number of deaths in certain area divided by the mid-year population. Okay? So, sa case fatality, ang tinitingnan natin is ilan yung namatay doon sa mga nagkasakit. Okay? So sa case specific, ang tinitignan naman natin dito is sa isang population, okay, ilan doon yung namatay ng dahil sa ganitong sakit. Okay, regardless kung yung population na yon is contracted by that disease or not. Kumbaga, ang tinitingnan natin dito is yung crude population natin. Okay? Kapag case fatality, yung mga nagkasakit. Kapag case specific, ang consideration natin is the mid-year population. Regardless kung nagkasakit sila ng COVID or hindi, basta yung mid-year population na yon. Okay? So, that's cases specific. Example, in the town of Saswan, Pampanga, with a mid-year population of 46,000, there are 300 reported deaths in the previous year. Among other items reported, it was noted that high mortality rate was among children 16 to 19 years of age for 100 cases out of the 15,000. The leading cause of death was heart attack with a death count of 120. So we're asked to compute for the CDR, age-specific mortality rate, and case-specific mortality rate. Okay? For the CDR, the number of deaths, that's 300 divided by 46,000. So times 1,000, we have 6.52 deaths per 1,000. So sa kada 1,000 sa Sasmuan, Pampanga, merong approximately 7 na taong namamatay. Okay? So CDR. For ASMR, age specific, no? Ang age natin is 16 to 19. Okay? So meron daw 100 cases na namatay out of the 15,000 children. So that's 100 divided by 15,000 times 1,000, we have 6.667 deaths per 1,000. So it means sa kada 1,000, merong 7 bata or 7 children whose age is 16 to 19 ang namatay. Okay? For cases specific, okay? So ang leading cause is heart attack. So out of those 46,000, 120 ang namatay ng heart attack. Okay? So 120 divided by 46,000 times 1,000, that's 2.61 death per 1,000. So sa kada 1,000 sa sasmuan, merong possibility na mamatay or 2 out of 1,000 or 3 out of 1,000 ang may possibility ng mamatay ng dahil sa heart attack. Okay? So case-specific mortality rate. Another one, in the United States in 2010, there were 1,225,513 live births. And let's say there were 17,645 newborn deaths throughout the fetal period. Okay? So, ang dami, 17,000, 2010 sa US. Determine the IMR or infant mortality rate using the data. So again, ang sinasabi natin kapag IMR, yung mga namatay ng less than 1 year old or yung hindi pa tumutungtong ng 1 year old pagkapanganak nila. So that's 17,645 divided by 1,225. 1,225,513 times 1,000. That's roughly 14.4 or let's say 14 deaths per 1,000. So it means sa kada 1,000 bata na ipinapanganak ng buhay, among those 1,000, 14 yung namamatay. Okay, that's still a huge number even though that for every 1,000, 14 ang namamatay. Knowing the fact it's US, United States. Okay, mataas pa rin po siya. As much as possible, if we can make it 1 digit or less than 5, mas maganda. Okay? Or possibly 0 nga, mas okay. Next one, we have the death rate from lung cancer diseases in adults 50 years of age and older increased in 2016. There are 1,000 people in the population. 250 of them have a specific condition and 100 of them pass away as a result. Compute for the Swarovski index and as well as the case fatality. Okay? So we have deaths for SI. Sa mga namatay na yon, ilan ang namatay ng 50 years old? So we have 250 died over number of deaths. So this is dapat 250 divided by 350 kasi 250 hindi 100 hindi naman sinabi dito na namatay yung 250. Okay, so this is around 100 divided by 100. Okay, so 100 lang kasi yung namatay. Okay, doon sa mga yon. So that's 100 divided by 100 times 1,000. It means that for every 1,000 deaths, okay, it means yung mga yon namatay ng lung cancer. Okay, 1,000 of those 1,000, for every 1,000 deaths, 1,000 died because of lung cancer. Now, for specific, no, so deaths of that particular disease, that's 1,000 or 100 divided by student or adults with the condition, which is the lung cancer. That's 250. So, sa 250 adults, merong 100 namatay. So, that's 100 divided by 250 times 1,000, that's 400. So, for every 1,000 adults na magkakaroon ng lung cancer, 400 of those would die. So, that's roughly around 40%. Okay? So, medyo malaki pa rin siya. Okay? So, 2-digit. Next one is if we have fertility that talks about adding additional, we have mortality for decreasing. We also have what we call morbidity. Ito naman po is yung mga nagkakasakit. Ang pinag-uusapan natin. We only have two. Okay? Morbidity rates provides a more direct measurement of health status in a certain population. Okay? The number of people or individual who develop the disease over the number of people at risk. Okay, so ilan sa mga taong yon yung nagkasakit. Higher morbidity indicates that the disease is spreading fast. Okay, so it can be a base factor of 100, 1,000, 10,000, and others. Okay, so under morbidity, meron tayong dalawa. We have the incidence and the prevalence. Sa incidence is, we're talking about the number of new cases over the entire population at risk times 1,000. Okay? So, ilan yung bagong kaso divided by the entire population. Kapag prevalence rate naman po, ilan yung nagkasakit? It means old and new over the entire population. Okay? Mas mataas ang incidence rate, it means mabilis kumalat. Madalis makahawa yung sakit. Mataas ang prevalence rate mo, ibig sabihin nakakahawa yung sakit or mabilis kumalat din yung sakit. Okay? Or maraming nagkakasakit noong disease na yon. Okay? So again, incidence, new cases, prevalence, old and new cases. Okay? So, for over a month report, there is a report about the outbreak of Ebola virus. Okay, so DOH recorded 360 new cases, which adds to the current number of 2,340 cases in the province of Bataan. What is the prevalence and incidence rate if there are at least 10,000 people who were at risk? No? So yung total natin is 360 plus 2,340, which is 2,700. So yun yung total na nagkasakit ng Ebola virus. Kung ang population ng Bataan is 1,000 at merong nadagdag na 360 at existing na 230, ano daw yung incidence and prevalence rate? So let's have the prevalence first. Sabi natin kapag prevalence is ilan yung nagkasakit na. Okay? So that's 2,700 divided by 10,000 times 1,000, we have 270 per 1,000. So sa kada 1,000, no, 270 doon ang nagkasakit or magkakasakit ng Ebola. Okay? Now, for IR or incidence rate, the number of new cases that have occurred during a given time interval divided by the total number of population at risk. So yung new cases natin is 360. Divided by the population 10,000, then times the base factor 1,000, we have 36 new cases of Ebola for 1,000 people. So sa kada 1,000 tao, merong possibility na magkaroon ng 36 new cases of Ebola. Okay? So dito naman sa prevalence, out of 1,000, merong pa 270 doon nagkasakit na ng Ebola. Dito naman sa IR, 36 ang posibleng magkaroon ng Ebola sa kada 1,000. Okay, next one. There are cases of measles or bulutong, in short, reported in subdivisions with a population of 976. In the first month, only 13 cases were reported, but in the second month, an additional of 68 cases were added. The third month, 123 new cases. What is the prevalence and incidence rate? Okay? So, total na natin yung mga cases. So, that's 13 plus 68 plus 123. That's 204. Population is 976. New cases is 123 and old is 13 plus 68 is equal to 81. For PR, we have 204. That's total cases divided by the population times 100. Okay, so that's 20.90. So 21 cases for the past 3 months per 100. Okay, so sa loob ng 3 buwan, sa kada 1,000 or 100 na tao, merong 21 cases ng measles. For incidence rate, that's 123 divided by 976 times 100, that's 12.60 or 13 new cases of measles for 100. So sa kada 100 na tao, no, there is a possibility na 13 doon magkakasakit ng measles. Okay. Then this is the next example. In 2021, there were a total of 12.3 thousand reported cases of HIV/AIDS in the Philippines with a total population of 112 million. Majority of cases during the year were among males. In March 2022, there are 1,539 new cases of HIV positive individuals and were reported to the HIV AIDS and antiretroviral therapy registry of the Philippines or HARP. So in total, there are 13,839 kasi nga 12,300 and 1,539. Population natin is 112 million. New cases is 1,539. So for PR, 13,839 divided by 112 million times 100,000 means that for every 100,000, there are 12 cases of HIV. Okay. For IR, that's 1,539 divided by 12 million times 100,000. That's 1.37 or one new case for HIV per 100,000. So sa kada 1,000 or sa 100,000, merong isang HIV case. Okay. So kung babawasan natin yan 10 per 10,000, 100 per 1,000. Okay? So malaki pa rin po siya. Now, we also have relative measures of diseases. Methods of comparing the relative amount of disease occurring in the different population have been developed. So relative risk, RR, incidence of disease in the exposed and incidence of the disease in the unexposed. Ano yung ratio ng mga nagkasakit dahil na-expose sila versus dun sa mga nagkasakit pero wala silang exposure? Relative risk po yan. Okay? So odds in favor of disease in exposed, odds in favor of disease in unexposed for odds risk. Okay? So dito naman, ano yung possibility na magkasakit ka? Okay? So we have attribute risk, incidence of disease in exposed minus incidence of risk for the unexposed. Okay? So according to the recent study, the incidence of hypertension among obese adults is 100 per 1 million. For non-obese, that's 20 per 1 million. Okay? So it is the relative risk na magkaroon ka ng hypertension. Okay, ano yung possibility? Whether you are exposed or not. Whether meron ka or wala, ano yung possibility? Or ilan yung possibility na magkaroon ng hypertension? So the number of incidents for exposed, that's 100 per 1 million, divided by the number of incidents for the unexposed, which is 20 per million. So the relative risk is 5. So this indicates that there are relatively 5% at risk of hypertension per 1 million, regardless if they are obese or not. Okay? 5 sa kada 1 milyong tao ang pwedeng magkasakit ng hypertension, whether obese sila or hindi. For the odds naman po, 100 per 999,900 divided by 20 per 999,980. Okay? So, this means that yung mga obese are 5 times likely na magkakaroon ng hypertension compared doon sa mga hindi obese. Okay? So, for the relative attribute risk, incidence of disease in exposed group minus incidence of disease in unexposed group. So that's AR is equal to 100 minus 20. That's 80. So this means that the risk of getting hypertension can be attributed to 80 person per 1,000. So pwede nating or 1 million. Pwede nating na i-associate na sa kada 1 million, merong 80 ang may chance na magkaroon ng hypertension. Okay? So that's it for our discussion in chapter 3 part